You are listening to the Creative Talks podcast, presented by the Architectural Authority magazine.
I have a discrepancy in the style shouldn't be an issue because as a designer you need to be open and listen.
And
I
we
think
don't
the key is to
know
listen.
them perfectly.
Exactly.
We
You
learn
need
as
to-
we
you
have a
need to get
relationship.
to know your client and you need to just implement his or her style, not my style.
And I think that you can have situations where you gave yourself the time to know them, to know their style, to go through all that process of
The styling
the
meeting.
styling meeting, the mood boards, the whole thing.
Mhm.
And you might have a first presentation that you did not nail. But what do? You just go back to the drawing board. You go back to all the conversations you've had. You
Mhm.
as a designer have to sit back also and say, okay, where did I not understand what they're looking for?
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly. That will be in the beginning of the process for me of the project. Sometimes in that styling meeting, before that styling meeting, I ask them, please send me some reference photos of mood interiors that you like, because maybe for you, contemporary doesn't mean the same to me.
This episode is sponsored by the Stones and More Group, your go-to destination for premium surfaces and a leading wholesale distributor with over 2 decades providing top-quality porcelain, ceramic, slabs, mosaics, panels, and building materials, crafted to transform any space. To learn more, visit our website at mosaics.com and explore our full range of premium products.
Welcome to another episode of Creative Talks. Today we're diving into the day-to-day realities of being an interior designer, the challenges we face, the relationships we build, and what it takes to bring a design vision to life. I'm joined by 3 amazing designers who are here to share their experiences from the trenches, and they're also my friends. Here's Sofia, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Cindy. My name is Sofia. I'm from Studio Palapa. I'm originally from Mexico City, and I've been in the industry for around 7 years and opened my own studio about 4 years ago.
Mayra.
Hi.
We've seen Mayra before in season 1.
My name is Mayra Perez. I'm owner and founder of Mayra Perez Designs. Basically, we focus on high-end residential here in Miami.
And my friend Maca.
Hello. Hi, my name is Maca Carrera. I'm from Ecuador. I have been in the industry for 15 years and I opened Maca Interiors almost 6 years ago. And we also focus on high-end residential design.
Okay, so let's talk about the day-to-day and what's the first thing that happens as a solopreneur in your days. You wake up, let's say you already did your exercise, Pilates here, Mayra, paddle, Sofia, I don't know, you play tennis.
Yeah.
But what happens after that?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing about being an interior designer is that every day is different. So every day you wake up thinking, okay, well, yesterday's not going to be today and tomorrow's not going to be today either. So it's part of why I love what we do is the kind of like the
Freedom?
diversity, the freedom, of the day to day. Yeah.
How's your day?
I think I have like 2 type of days. There's one that I know I'm going to be at the office most of the day. And that's where I usually try to concentrate everything that's related to creative, working on technical, doing some of the admin. And then there's the other type of day when I try to consolidate all the visits to different projects. So I try to make the best out of my day. It's a totally different dynamic for each type. And usually when I go to projects, it's like those are the hectic ones.
Yeah. I will say for me, it really changes. That's why it's very important for me to schedule my week in advance. And I have 2 kids. I have a husband. So I also have to arrange my schedule around my kids, my family. So I try to schedule some days during the week for office time to do admin work, answer emails. And like you said, other days are focused on job sites because, the traffic here, once you go to a project, it can take 2-3 hours just to commute.
Yeah.
So
I will never do a Friday site visit.
Yeah.
For example, I've
Yeah.
made
Exactly.
Fridays
You
for
tried.
creativity. It's the end of the week.
Yep.
Some time to feel inspired,
Yeah.
relaxed.
I was
I
about-
agree.
was about
I
to
don't
ask
try. I
that.
try not to do job sites Fridays.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't
was
know
about
what's
to
not-
ask that. If you want to start a week wonderful and you say, okay, next week I want to make it because we plan it, what would you do that Monday? What would you do on
Like
the
at the
Monday?
ideal scenario for
Yeah.
a Monday.
For a Monday because you want to have an awesome week. So on Monday, I'm going to schedule what?
Oh, I will say office time.
Yeah,
I love.
exactly.
I want my because it's Mondays like the day that everyone's gonna call you and
Mhm.
plan. That I try not to do any meetings or job site meetings on Monday
You're
for me because you're
available.
starting the
Yeah,
week. Yeah.
yeah.
But I
So
like-
when you start getting calls from the clients and see when will we schedule the next visit, everybody agrees that we do it as of Tuesday,
Yeah, any
Wednesday,
day-
Thursday.
Yeah,
It
those
depends.
3
I think it
days.
depends.
It
It depends on the
depends, yeah.
project, the status, like what kind of meeting. If it's
Yeah.
a short meeting or around my area, yeah. But
That's-
ideally,
But hasn't it happened to you that you go to the office? Yes, you love the quiet time, but when you are at the site, you're also vibrating and you say, "Okay, it's nice that I came."
no, no, I'm joking.
Because usually when you go to the job site, you know there are just so many problems waiting for you that you need to tackle, and you need to,
Mhm.
you need to solve part of it there, and then you have to go back to the office and send emails, get resolution. So
Mhm.
when I know that I have to wake up and face, visiting 1, 2, if traffic allows, maybe 3 projects the same day.
Yeah.
By the time I'm done,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
exhausted,
mhm.
drained. And I know the
Exhausted.
next day I have to be at the office because I have to
Resolve.
Catch up
resolve
on a lot
Oh,
of
everything,
yeah,
things
everything that
I do that.
found out the
the day before.
the day
Yeah.
before.
So
exactly.
when there's
So what-
consecutive days at
Right.
the job sites,
I don't
it's
do.
chaos.
I
It's
try not to
chaos,
do consecutive.
consecutive
days.
visits to projects.
So if I go at job site on Tuesday, the next day
at the
office
Yeah.
too,
Mhm.
because I'm the kind of person that I want to get it done, like all the revisions immediately.
Exactly.
I don't want to drag it. And-
You forget part of it, or
Yeah.
because it's fresh in your mind.
And
the next
especially
day.
like
Mhm.
we're small firms and you don't want to get overwhelming if you with a lot of work if you just drag it. And that's
Mhm.
how I keep it organized, like try to like tackle everything.
Yeah.
And how much time do you actually spend on each task? How much is office? How much is job sites in a weekly basis?
Depends.
It depends on the status of
Depends.
the
Yeah,
job.
Really
sometimes
depends.
It depends on
Yeah.
the phases that you're
On
going
the
through on
sometimes
each project. Yeah.
everything is administrative or
Yeah,
planning
there's
or
some days that
designing,
it can be only admin work,
Mhm. And there's
like
phases of the
procurement
year,
or finding pieces.
yeah.
Those take time.
or there's phases of the year where your projects align all kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes like a time where you have to be at the site very, very often.
Yeah.
Or like phases of the year where like you don't have that much,
And you can do more
time at the
office.
sites because everything's a little bit on standby, whether it permits or
Mhm.
you're in design
Exactly.
phase.
Yeah.
or
And
whatever.
this-
It's like a
this-
roller coaster.
Mhm.
This
It's
question
like
is for
slow
me.
sometimes and then it goes fast. So it really depends on the stage of the,
The
project.
season, yeah.
For me, because I'm doing this less years than you guys. If I have a meeting today and we go and we do a walkthrough or punch list or things that we need to change or in the design, how fast do you respond to that? Because I struggle and I think that I have to respond next day.
Yeah.
How do you? How
I feel
fast
the same.
you
Like
do?
I have to get everybody on board. I need to send an email, copy the GC.
It's like I get
copy the Millwork
stressed.
company.
I
Everything
buy
has to
new
be-
stress.
I by the end of the day, I wrap my day with an email recapping what happened on site
Exactly.
because I don't want the next day people calling me and people chasing me.
Mm-hmm.
I rather be
I
ahead of
hate
the curve.
that's what
Yeah.
something that I hate is
No.
like I need to always be anticipate the next steps. I want the one I don't like anyone or especially the client to follow up with me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to follow up with them. So I have like a policy, like I have to answer within the 24 hours to everyone, no matter if it's a vendor, a client. So
But
if
if
I
that-
don't answer, I get so stressed. I'm like, I
Yeah.
cannot sleep. Like I have
Exactly.
to send
Mhm.
emails.
But
and-
if that meeting had a conclusion that you had to change something in the design, that's the due date that I don't know how to figure out.
I think
How
that-
fast do you have to react?
I think that it's okay for you to do a recap email and say it's gonna take me
give
a
you
few
some
days. In a
Don't-
few days,
I don't
we'll see.
necessarily give a deadline to
Yeah,
myself
don't
because
say
you don't know what's it gonna
exactly.
require. But I
Mhm.
think
that's
you
a
give-
good
yeah.
advice.
You
Yes.
do say, this is what happened, this is what we
Yeah.
talked
Also,
about.
you have to understand depending what is the change, and based on your experience, because I work different than you. I might be slower or faster than you, and you say, okay, this is, let's say, a kitchen revision, and you feel that you're gonna take, I don't know, 12 hours to do it. You just tell the client, okay, before the end of the day, but before the end of the next week, you'll get the revision. So
And
just
sometimes doing those things too fast because maybe you're not that busy or you feel inspired, it's not good for the relationship because then they're gonna want everything at the same speed,
Expectations.
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a question that comes up here. How do you manage client expectations when timelines are tight or budgets are tight?
Mm.
What exactly what she said. I try to, because we are in design and construction. There's always going to be delays, whether it's a container stock at Port of Miami or a city inspection that didn't go through. So what I try to do is just put everything always in writing and anticipate
Mhm.
and let the client know, "Oh, this is happening and these are
Yeah,
going
be
to be
transparent.
these are going to be the
Yeah.
consequences. We're going to be, we're going to have to push 2 weeks the installation, let's say, of the millwork because we haven't passed the inspection of this." So they understand, I'm laying out the plan, and he or she understands that we need to adjust because there are just unforeseen
Right.
situations that are out of my control,
Mhm.
his or her control, and also it doesn't depend. It's nobody. Sometimes
Right.
there's no one to blame. It's just the way it
But
is.
here goes back to the communication. Even though it's out of control, tell that to the client.
Exactly.
Don't wait on, oh, but I thought
You didn't tell
tomorrow,
me.
you didn't tell me. I thought tomorrow was the installation. Always be in communication. Like always. I think it's
Yeah.
key, and they will respect that and they will understand if you communicate always, because they're gonna feel that you're on top of the project, that you know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what you said is true. You need, like, for example, I need to send the update of the project. Like, hi, mister, here's an update of your project. I will never, at least I'll try. The client should not ask me what's going on with the project.
Exactly.
Where are we? What are the dates? We
Yeah.
have to be,
And to add on to that email, I would recommend is when you are giving a bad news or like something happened unforeseen,
That's a call.
always back it up with a solution. This happened, but we're doing this to resolve it.
100%. Yeah.
This happened, but they're working on it.
Yeah.
But don't you
What-
think those news have to be like a call instead
Not
of an
necessarily.
email? No,
And it's
No.
always to have everything.
Depends.
in
we have to
writing.
have it in writing,
Depends,
but
yeah.
but
You can
depends.
always, like, you can email, and then you can, depending on
Chat.
the relationship with the
Yeah.
client, you can always call the client, but always have the email as a backup, and then follow up with a phone call. Yeah, but
For
And
me,
what-
everything is in writing.
It's
Yeah.
in writing.
Yeah, it has
Enough.
to be.
Yeah.
No,
Depends on
then
the
if he has
severity.
more
Yeah.
questions, then he or she can, we can have a chat. But at least I need the paper trail.
What is
So-
one of those examples of this horrible email that we are writing right now? What is an example?
Like, for
God.
example,
We had
was a specific example that we need to close all the inspections on a project, and only until then the final installation of the main entry door will happen. So the client is expecting to move in and have everybody out of the apartment, but the inspections can take 2 or 3 weeks. So there's no way that I can push the installation of the door before that. I have to let him know, and so he understands 2 to 3 weeks, no door.
what happens if the email is the kitchen arrived and the wall is smaller than planned? Then it's a red flag. We tell everybody, we call everybody. This is a different.
And try to find a solution.
Yeah, I think you internally try to find
Right.
a solution
And
before
with
you
the C, the
communicate to
GC.
the
It's
client.
That's why
happening
it's
to
very
me
important.
and the kitchen
Everything,
fabricator right now.
everything goes hand to hand, connected with so many other factors. In that scenario, like she said, you gotta find a solution with your GC. And it's
Mhm.
important to have a good relationship with your GC, and because it's all a team effort.
But let me tell you the story behind. I went with the fabricator. She's a colleague of
Yeah.
ours, and we put all the drawings in the
Mhm.
walls, and the guys never looked at the changes.
GC?
the workers.
So, I mean, I think that
Now we want to solve it, of course.
of course. And here's the tricky part because we're not project managers for the GC, right?
Mhm.
But we are in a sort of
Exactly.
way representing the client.
That's why we papered the whole
Right.
area.
Yeah.
So I think the first difficult conversation is the conversation with the general contractor saying, are you going to rectify this?
Yeah. And at the
Right?
same time, you don't want to be also, you don't want to throw
Blaming
him, even though it's
anybody.
his fault, because it's his fault, you don't want to throw him under the
To
bus
the client.
with the client. So you have to be very smart and strategic of the way you're going to communicate that error if you decide to do it. If not, just figure out with a GC and
with the
client
fabricator.
and the client doesn't even have to know. You know, because they don't know all the things that happens behind the scene.
Mhm.
They don't know.
You don't
So-
want to stress the client out.
exactly. So unless it's something that it cannot be fixed, you
Mhm.
know, then communicate it
You
to the
have
client.
to
But there is
elevate
not
that.
really in that matter. I will just say, work it out with the GC.
And the fabricator, because he's
Yeah,
the
of
one
course.
who's gonna have to cut it all
Yeah.
again.
Well,
but
or you have to have the GC fix the wall.
it's impossible. There was concrete and they didn't
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be a teamwork.
Yeah,
or
of course.
something. Now that you were mentioning vendors, there is this segment. The next segment, it talks about building and maintaining relationship with vendors. As interior designers, we work closely with them. Furniture makers, suppliers, they're laughing, contractors, and more. How important is this relationship, and what makes a great vendor partnership? Everybody, listen.
Do you want to go there? No.
No. What makes it? Well, you have your vendors forever. Like you have a
Yeah, I mean,
GC that is like your brother.
I mean,
How
I
does
have
that happen?
I have some preferred vendors that I have been working for the past 6 years. I have a preferred GC. I have a preferred furniture vendor, window
Mhm.
treatment, because they're my extended family, my extended team, and we have built a good relationship, a lot of loyalty, respect. They know how I work. I know how they work, and
They
the most
understand you,
important
and
is that they're
makes it
gonna
easy.
always have my back. It doesn't matter if I made a mistake. They're not the ones that are gonna be like, "Oh, but it's your fault. You figure out. You pay." That never happens with them. And I do work with several contractors, several vendors, and I experience where like, oh, but she's the one who told me exactly like this, and like they throw me
Yeah.
under the
We
bus.
don't like
That's
that,
not team
guys.
player. So if that happens, I will never work with you.
I think that also the longer you work with someone, like you said, the more they know you.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, no, this is not something Sophia's going to want.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Let's
They
call
start
her.
reading your mind.
They start reading your mind. You have such a good synergy, such a good connection
Mhm.
that they understand your style. They understand what you want, what you don't like. And it just flows better. There's less mistakes, I think.
And also they understand your instructions, the way you send the
Your
drawings.
drawings, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That happens, and that's why we sometimes go back to the same GC, because we have that
Mhm.
relationship.
And I think sometimes it's all about communication. There are certain people that you get along better, and for me, I'm very direct. So and I need, if I'm not happy, you'll hear from me, and I'm gonna be like very honest. But I think it's only fair to give the opportunity to the GC millwork company to rectify. But I need to make sure they understand where I feel they're lacking, or where they are underperforming, so that we look eye to eye. And first, it doesn't happen again. And second, it's a way of improving the relationship,
Right.
so it doesn't happen again. Not
You're
only in that
helping
project, but in
them
the
grow
future.
at the
And
end
I
of the
think
day.
a good vendor also helps you grow. I
Yes.
think they also are open to saying, like, we've had experience with this before.
Right.
We don't think this is a good idea.
Mhm.
Let's work together to find, something that we
Mhm.
like recommend, but you
Yeah.
also agree or like,
Mhm.
So I think that
Yeah.
it goes both ways, right?
Yeah, I
You're
think
teaching them.
the vendor's goal is to make you happy so you can continue working with them
Yeah.
and rectify any errors that they might have done, or if we did any errors, don't blame, point finger. It's all about team effort.
And so if there is a new GC in the new project that you signed, how would you make sure that there is a good relationship with that vendor? Because it's super important for the success.
You have to dive in and see how
Yeah.
it goes. There's no
Yeah.
Be try to give them your respect. They have to respect you, to trust you, be cordial, try to always say we're a team, but like I work with this new GC, and it was awful experience. I mean, I finished the project pretty much. I think that the client didn't like me because of him. He didn't know anything. The client decided not to pull permits in this house of renovation, and I told him I'm not an architect. I'm gonna try to do the drawing as best of my abilities, and
For
I
the
did.
for design
You're
intent
right.
only.
And the GC couldn't really read plans. He was always calling his vendors to read the plans and have them talking to me instead of he orchestrating the whole thing. And there were so many problems during framing. He didn't even know how to frame. Like he will ask me how to frame a ceiling.
No.
And one of the big surprises was when he tried to do like a cove ceiling. There was a horizontal beam, and he didn't even took into consideration that things that I'm not a project manager, so I'm not there all the time. But he blamed on me, and he kept always saying, "That's what Maca. I did exactly what Maca did." And then I spoke with other GCs that I work with, and they're like, you're as the GC, our role is to interpret their design intent, and based on
Execute it
and based on
according
our
to code.
exactly. But it was an awful experience. Like it got to the point that I feel that he was so mean, and that the client didn't like me, I guess, because he kept always saying, "It's Maca, it's Maca, it's Maca." It's not Maca. I'm not a project manager. There are certain things that I just couldn't even. I tried to
What
explain
did
it.
you do to stand up for yourself?
No,
You never talked to the
I
client?
say,
No.
hey, this is. I try to explain it as much as I can, and I say, this, you're the GC,
Right.
you
It's
know.
not your scope.
Exactly, and I went so many times there to talk up to explain him about the framing, and he still couldn't do it. I have to bring a carpenter that I work with because he's an architect, and to explain to him, like it's just like very bad position. Like I would never work with him again.
But you will.
But
There's
why
no
the
way to
client?
find
But
out.
why the client hired him? Because he was the cheapest one.
Of
Price.
course.
I think that those are red flags that, of course, learning from we can
Yeah.
all learn from your experience, right? We can all learn from each other's experiences. And I think that when you're faced into that moment, it's one of those times where you have to pause. I think we're always so like go and go and go so quickly that it's a moment where you really just have to pause and analyze the situation and say, is this worth it for me? Is this going to be beneficial for my career and my studio? Or is this just going to take
Be a
away my
problem.
time, create problems, unnecessary problems, have bad reputation with a client because of someone else?
But
So I
what did
think
you
it's-
do? You quit?
I think that you have
No,
a conversation
I
with the
wouldn't.
client.
I look. I've been through everything, through the worst. The clients that I had. So I'm not a quitter. I always try the worst, to get it to the end. But I did tell the client he doesn't know, and I'm happy to bring a GC
that is
No.
that can
knowledgeable.
tell him, and
But
even can explain.
But that's
him.
even worse
I-
because
I don't.
then
but
you're the
and
bad
then
guy.
The relationship was already ruined. So.
Yeah.
Right.
So I and
Yeah.
and then
So
I
there's nothing
say
to
I'm
say
happy
but-
to bring a GC and explain the project.
Yeah. I think that we can jump in. I think that when you get a new project, I think the most important thing to have a good relationship with a new general contractor, which was your original question, I think that is put a lot of your time. I know that time is currency, but put a lot of your time to get to know them, get them to know you,
Yeah.
review your drawings, everything. Be like, do you like, you don't know how they've worked in the past with other designers. So take the time
Yes.
to review all your work and make sure that you're on the same page. And it's not, doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect afterwards, but it's a good start.
It's good for us.
It's a good start.
for us.
And the client also realizes that you're putting all this effort in order to have a good connection with the GC that they brought on.
Yeah.
Because it's not your
No, but
GC.
at the end of the day, I think the client knew when she was comparing the GCs that this cheap GC didn't really know, but they were just like, he was a handyman that did something for them. And
That's just a bad client, Maca.
no, it was because
That's just a bad
I don't
client.
think
You were unlucky.
recognize everything I did for them. I did above and beyond for them, and I don't think I was well treated. Because sometimes the clients don't see what do we do behind the scenes.
Right.
the scenes.
They have no
They have
idea what
no
goes
idea.
on
No idea.
behind the scenes.
And
No.
and I think that I was very respectful with them, and then the husband talked to me sometimes really like rude, and I'm respectful, so I'm not gonna say anything wrong. But that's why I always prefer to work with my GCs. But if there's a client that has an EGC, I'm always welcome to work with new people.
One of the considerations when finding a vendor for me is that I have to make sure they know more than me in their subject. If they're a plumber, they should know more.
Of course.
If they're the meal worker, they should know more. Because then, if not, the client is gonna tell you never told the plumber that he had to do this, and that's not how it works. We gotta know a little bit of a lot, but they have to know their things.
They are the experts.
They
on
are
their
the
area.
experts, and that's when there's a millwork mistake and things like that. That's where I say it should never rely on us, because we hire a professional to do it.
And I think that this is something that the way that we protect it in our studio is that we put that all in our agreement, in our contract. Any subcontractor is not hired directly from our studio. That's something that is hired either through the general contractor or the client.
Or the client
So
directly.
the relationship, in
Even if you
essence,
suggest
even if you
who
you
it is.
and the way what we do is that we don't suggest one plumber or one carpenter.
Exactly. You give them
We do
options.
three, so that it doesn't fall on you, and
Right.
you are very clear at the beginning saying the relationship is between you and this vendor.
That's super important.
Exactly.
Super
And
important.
even in that this will go into the next subject, which is the fee structure. In my case, it goes in 3 different areas, and one of the areas is coordinate, but that doesn't mean that I'm responsible for how that third party vendor will perform. I will communicate. I will go visit, answer any questions, guide them through, present the ID set, make it as easy to understand as possible, but the blame cannot fall on us because we are not the ones executing the actual
And you're
job.
not liably what's it called? You're not liable for
Well,
it.
you'll be surprised because there are certain clients that I've had the situation that the client
they believe you're
they
liable.
believe
I was just gonna say that at the end,
me.
no matter if you have that in the contract, it always blame on the designer.
It doesn't matter. You go back to your contract and you say, per our contract, remember, it's not on us.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
and they can't say anything
there's
to you.
something like
difficult to do that.
I know, but we're a business at the end.
No,
right?
I know it's true. But sometimes I feel that even though we have that in our contract and they know that, they don't care, and they just like, oh, you should have noticed that. You should have noticed it,
No, or you knew,
or you
knew all these people and you introduced me to all these people. Yeah, but I gave you the options. You checked their quotes. You met them.
Yeah.
You made your selection. I didn't make that call, but but you brought them to me, and I trusted you. So no matter how it's worded or phrased in the contract, somehow they feel like you are the ones that need to,
right.
run the whole circus.
I feel like we're doing therapy here, so I'm gonna switch the energy to positive, and you're going to tell me a memorable experience with a vendor, someone that went above and beyond for you. A good one.
I have a good one.
You do?
I have a good one.
Share that.
This is a 3-door stackable sliding, stackable sliding 3 doors that came from Canada. We're talking about a $20,000, door. When they installed it, it was perfect. The color was perfect. The glass opacity was perfect. Everything was as selected with the client. And then the client calls me like, I can see the screws from this side, and I wanted to have them on the other side. I'm like, that's okay. We flip the doors, no problem. No, because they were tied up to each other so they can stack up. There was a mechanism that it was not just flip, it was not going to get solved just flipping the doors. I called the vendor and I explained the client doesn't want to see the screws, the bolts. And he's like, don't worry, I'm going to fabricate. There's always a solution. And I'm like, yeah, but you're going to have to fabricate the whole system again. No, we'll find a solution. Then he calls me back. They fabricated a frame to insert it on the side where the bolt and the screws were, evident, to fix it. And so there's no screws on either side now. But not only that, he told me, I'm gonna fabricate this frame, but there's a slight chance that it might be off like by a quarter or an eighth of an inch. If that happens, I'll fabricate a third one. And he did. When the first frame came, I thought it was fine. He's like, no, there's, we'll do another one. And they sent another one from Canada, and the door is perfect, and the client's happy.
Free of charge.
Yes.
Can you
Absolutely.
name this person to send him an award?
I love you, Rafael.
Oh.
From
Those are the
Elo
vendors that
Custom
you want to
Millwork.
work with.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
why you
That's
continue
why-
working with them.
Elo Custom Millwork. They also not only do millwork, but they also do doors.
Exactly.
windows.
That's exactly what we want to hear. Let me
Yeah.
help
Team
you.
play. It's team. It's a teamwork.
Yeah.
You.
Oh, me. Oh, my God.
There has to be.
I think this vendor and me, we almost got sick with this project. Like mentally, we were in the
Insanity.
Yes. So we had this project in South Carolina. We bought all the furniture. I went to South Carolina for the delivery, and she just didn't like anything. She didn't like the rugs, the sizes, the scale. She complained about it was too small, was too big, it's too red, it's too blue. Like, she approved everything. She saw everything in plan. She signed everything. So she just didn't like it. And it's not the first backstory. She it's not the first time she's been through a designer. I mean, that's why there's a reason why I think I was like her fifth designer.
Oh, okay.
Another red
So,
flag.
The husband, and she pretty much said, threatened me and said that he's gonna sue me, and she doesn't want any of the furniture, and all the furniture has to be returned, and he wants his money back. Oh my God, I had to get back to the vendor. I drove him crazy, and long story short, me and the vendor figure out internally how to
Return
make
or-
the client happy, make some of the returns. I ate some of the costs, of course, but he helped me in other ways. But without, I don't know if I will have used other vendors, he would have helped me the way he helped me.
We need to say it. We need to say it. Who is that?
It was Josh from Wasser's Furniture. Joshy, I love you. Thank you for everything what you do for
See?
me.
We
But
care about what you do.
I know, and it meant a lot, and I drove him crazy. He told me that he lost like 30 pounds for this. I know. He was, but it
His
was
white hair
awful.
is because of you.
No, he doesn't
No.
have one. No, but it was awful experience. I couldn't sleep. I had anxiety. Like, I never felt that. And the husband was so rude, threatening me. I had to contact my lawyer because he was so rude. And that, but everything happens God made things for a reason. And that was one of my first projects when I started. So I didn't really had a good contract. And that led me to hire an attorney to have a good contract that can protect me. So I learned so much from that project. So, I'm
At the end of the
blessed
day,
and
you're
grateful
thankful
that
for the bad
yeah,
experience.
Of course.
Yes.
But yeah.
No, and those terrible experiences, at the end, what has happened to me is like I sit down and draw my own conclusions, since most of the times is okay, next time I need to add this and that to the
from
contract.
every
So
project you learn something.
Yeah.
That's
you
why
add something to the
that's why
contract.
my contract's like 20 pages.
That's why we're sharing these stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sophie, you have any experience that you can recall?
I mean, yeah, I have lots of vendors who have helped me along the way.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind right now quickly is we had a project that got like paused a little bit. Permits were taking a long time on some. There were some situations also with the roof. So we had already purchased some terrazzo slabs for a custom desk in an area. And my vendor was the best, just keeping it in his warehouse for months and months and months, which is
Great.
also a huge help because what am I going to do with a
Mhm.
slab? And he was changing warehouses, and the slab just cracked right in the middle. And this desk is supposed to be like 12 feet long, like 13 feet long. Like I couldn't use half a slab.
Oh my god.
So
They
I'm
broke during transportation?
during transportation from one warehouse to the other.
But he was doing the favor of holding it.
Exactly.
It
So
was
what
already past
happened?
time.
Exactly. So I'm there freaking out, saying, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do?" The vendor that sold me the slab didn't have any more slabs. We had to. He went above and beyond to find me a replacement slab, and he bought it himself. He didn't charge me a
No
cent,
way.
and he also fabricated everything on time. So it was just a
Well-
problem that I didn't even have to communicate to the client.
We need
Yeah.
to say his name.
This is Julio from JJ Stone. Yeah,
Thank you, Julio.
amazing team.
Well, when you were my rep
Of course.
at Protein,
I
you were the
remember.
best.
Oh.
You no, really, that show, you were my favorite rep ever. And I remember one project we were missing like literally 2 tiles, and that tile for some reason got discontinued.
Mhm.
And you went and to a client's house that she had left over,
That's true.
and you went to pick it up and brought it to the side.
I just
look
remember
what you
that.
did. No, it that shows like the
Yeah.
integrity, then how important is
to go
to
the extra
trigger-
mile.
yeah, and to try to
And sometimes the problems that are gonna get solved immediately,
Mhm.
but it's like in my case, the GC I work with, and I'm working with him in 2 particular projects.
Mhm.
I don't know what happens, but sometimes both projects get like, crazy at the same time.
Yeah.
So I have to be in contact communication if it's not for one, for the other. But it's just the approach. When you get some
Yeah.
like a positive comment, like, relax, don't worry, we'll take care of it.
Mhm.
Tomorrow I call this, that, so you can tell the client, I'm gonna get it solved. I don't want you to stress out.
Mm.
That
But who's the
support,
peaceful, him or you?
him,
Him.
him, yeah, they. It's a group.
But that's so nice that you hear that from
when you
any
hear that-
vendor.
exactly. When you hear that
It's
from
like,
the GC,
oh my god, it's gonna be okay. You can sleep
Exactly.
now.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, tomorrow will be a better day, and I know he's acknowledging, he's taking care of it, so it
Mhm.
gives you peace of mind. And at there's certain times that you just need that peace
Yeah.
of mind
Mhm.
to go through it.
And in this moment, it's when it's probably better not telling the clients all of it, because tomorrow it's going to be
Yeah.
solved, and
Yeah, that's why
we're just
so many things
passing
happen behind the
anxiety to
scene.
them.
They don't need to know.
I think the client also hires you so that they don't have to stress about these things.
Right.
So that they
Mhm.
don't have to be thinking about what's going on the site every single day and chase around all the vendors and solve all these issues.
That's a great answer
Yeah.
for when they ask you, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna note that. Yeah.
I always say to the potential clients, you hire me to I make your life easier. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, how do you handle difficult clients, especially when their tastes or feedback feel unaligned with your design style? I think you already gave us a little bit of that with your experience from South Carolina.
Oh.
Anybody else that wants to add on, or we move on?
Ay.
Difficult clients, especially when their tastes or feedback feel unaligned. Has anyone said to you, I don't like it? Well, apart from that,
Well, no,
breaks your
she
heart.
liked the
No.
design at the beginning. She just didn't like the actual stuff. She didn't like the rug size. She didn't like the finish of the
But
fabric.
once it was there.
Like once it
Yeah.
was there. Before, oh yeah, I love it. You know my style. Because the other designers never knew my style, and everything you propose is what I love.
Mm.
But suddenly,
Yeah, no. That's
when-
clearly
Yeah.
not
particular.
you. That's clearly not you.
Situation.
Yeah.
I think I have a discrepancy in the style shouldn't be an issue, because as a designer you need to be open and
Right.
listen.
Mhm.
I
And we
think the
don't
key is to
know
listen.
them perfectly.
Exactly.
We
You
learn
need
as
to-
we
you
have
need
a
to
relationship.
get to know your client, and you
Mhm.
need to just implement his or her style, not
Mhm.
my style.
Correct.
Exactly.
So
Or a
once
combination.
if
Mhm.
you are open enough to hear and
Mhm.
to understand them,
Yeah.
then
It's
usually
never
what you
negative
what,
feedback.
what you propose. I mean, you can differ in, I don't like this sofa, but the style, at least you need to be in the same page, because
Yeah.
otherwise
Mhm.
then you're talking different languages.
And I think that you can have situations where you gave yourself the time to know them, to know their style, to go through all that process of
The styling meeting.
the mood boards, the whole thing.
Mhm.
And you might have a first presentation that you did not nail. But what do? You just go back to the drawing board. You go back to all the conversations you've had. You
Mhm.
as a designer have to sit back also and say, okay, where did I not understand what they're
Mhm.
looking
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
And it's okay to go back to the client and say, would you mind having another
Mhm.
styling meeting just
And
so
that's
that the
why,
second round of
yeah.
furniture selections we
wh-
can
And
like
in that beginning, sorry to interrupt, in that
Mhm.
that will be in the beginning of the process for me, in the of the project. Sometimes in that styling meeting, before that styling meeting, I ask them, please send me some reference photos of mood interiors that you like,
Mhm.
because maybe for you contemporary doesn't mean the same to me.
Mhm.
And this is
Mhm.
exactly what happened right now. I'm working on a new project, and this is not my style at all. They love traditional design, a lot of moldings, coffer ceiling with crown moldings around it. You know how long it took me to design the kitchen and the family room? It took me a week, like just the ceiling, because I'm like,
Researching to get
yeah,
ideas and ideas.
understanding scale, proportion, and I had to call carpenters several times to understand how crown molding works and things like that. And
But that's so exciting
but
because
I know
Yes,
it.
you're
opened
learning
up
something
your
new.
repertoire is like
Yes.
much larger now. You have a
So
different
thank you for
style
all the
in your
vendors and people who helped me. So I present 2 weeks ago, and they love it.
You nailed it.
I love it. So I'm very proud, because this is the
Yeah.
first time that I'm doing a traditional project, and of course I'm putting some maca
Mhm.
touch, because the wife is interesting. She's a little more modern, but he's very traditional. So I have to also
Meet them
listen to
halfway.
her,
Mhm.
and they
Right.
like that I incorporate some like modern elements, but not too much transitional elements. But yeah, it was
Sometimes
so.
I feel like I like to go out with them more and more and more just to know them more before I have to turn in a design. I feel
Mhm.
like that is beneficial when they don't rush you. It's beneficial to the
Yeah,
to
not
the
only
design.
that,
Depends
it
how
has
everyone,
Yeah.
it is
Everybody's
works. Yeah.
deadlines there are
it has
different.
happened to me that I can I can tell my client is all over the place.
Mhm.
Like sometimes, I have a particular client that sometimes she likes, I don't know, like glam style, very, a lot of gold. And the next
She's
week she was
eclectic.
like organic wood. I'm like,
Yeah.
so and I try to get as much feedback
Yeah.
from the client, like videos, pictures. Nowadays clients do their own research. They go into
Mhm.
Pinterest
They have so much
Right.
and Instagram,
access.
Yes,
and
a
they have
lot.
they
And that's so helpful.
sit, yeah,
Oh,
exactly. But
It is
but
and
it
it's not
also
because they keep
it
sending you
confused.
bathrooms.
Yes.
yeah.
Keep sending when you're done.
Bathrooms, one day bathroom is black and the other day is
Exactly,
the
Yeah.
exactly,
Calacata gold. So
exactly.
they get so much information
Yeah.
that they get sometimes more confused. So
Right.
I felt like my job has been in some situations like try to help them narrow down
Mhm.
Mhm.
and
Don't
stay
look.
focused.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
look out.
stop.
And
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your design intent presentation, like the first concept presentation, when you present, do you usually present them like two options, or it's only one option? Because for example, because of that situation that I had,
Mhm.
I give you the example. This the same. I went very one traditional option
Mhm.
and then one
More
more
modern.
modern. They all picked the traditional, but
You gave them the
but you do
options.
you how do you
No, I try to understand,
yeah.
and we chat a lot. Like, okay, what do you like from this video? What do you like from this picture?
So you
Oh, I
present
like,
one option.
and I try to, yeah, absorb as much as I can, and just decide, okay, this is the way I'm gonna go.
Got
I'm
it.
gonna present it. And if they don't like it, then at least
You
that
work on
that
it.
one's out of the way. Let's go into, let's
Okay.
adjust or meet somewhere.
What
Or
about
maybe I
do
didn't
you do
understand exactly what,
right? Do you
from the
do
pictures.
two options or you?
Yeah. My first presentation always has two options.
Yeah.
Very different
Yeah,
options.
me
Always
too.
within what they've told me they like and the
Yeah.
feedback I've gotten from the mood boards. But
Yeah,
it's two.
I think in those two options, for example, in our case, we present two options, two different options. One always different styles, but also one more cost effective than the other
Mhm.
one.
Ah, okay.
And also, I emphasize this with the client. This is a concept presentation where our priority is to get the design approved. All the materials are going to be selected in person. Let's say you love that kitchen design, but you don't like the finish. No problem. The finishes will be
Uh-huh.
selected
Change.
later, but we need to finalize the design so we can plan all our plans for the architect, prepare everything is going to be behind the ceilings and walls. So it's
and
very
I'm
important
sure
they understand that.
sometimes it could happen that they pick from both.
Yeah. And that's fine. I also tell
Yeah.
them you can combine them, but usually two options, just because sometimes a client can have many styles, and I try to like keep them both
let
out.
me
Can I
tell
have a
you.
question? I'll ask a question. Because I guess it's a back and forth for me. But when you're giving these first design concepts, do you do just the architectural, or do you include the furniture selections within the? Because I feel like there are some clients that you can do that with, and then there's others that perhaps you cannot. I don't know.
You can put a reference of a style of furniture, and
What
then
my mood and feel
Mm.
presentation has not only like the feel, the style, but I add some furniture pieces in terms of not the actual furniture, but a picture
Mhm.
from Pinterest
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that kind of gives you the idea. Okay, that white modular sofa
Yeah.
that in U shape,
Mm-hmm.
so that they
Yeah.
if they really
there
it
is
doesn't
an
have to be that
inspiration.
specific
Specific
color.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that specific fabric. It can maybe be leather, but at least that's the concept.
That's it.
Yeah,
In
because
my-
it plays with the architecture too. I feel like, I mean, it depends on the project, but I think furniture can be a very impactful subject within the
Well,
design.
And I think it's better, you know, on the
Upfront.
next on
Guys,
the next on the
We are
next
already
phase,
at
Okay.
go into-
43 minutes.
wow,
Can
wow.
you believe it? And we didn't make it to segment 4. So I'm going to ask you
Go ahead.
if we want to skip business side of design and do the rapid fire questions,
Yes. Do the fun part.
or you want to talk about business, might I see you?
No,
No.
whatever is good for you.
Because she is our business advisor, by the way.
And our lawyer,
And our lawyer.
No,
That's
but
a podcast for another time.
Exactly.
Why are we saying that?
Next podcast. So,
financials with designers.
rapid fire questions and fun design talk. What's the one item you can't live without on any project?
Wood
What?
Any
Wood.
item, like
Mhm.
random item.
material.
Item or material?
Material.
Be creative.
I thought it was.
You are the
material.
creative ones. That was a good answer.
That was a good answer.
Wood.
Wood.
I need wood
Hmm.
somewhere.
I was gonna go in another direction. I was gonna say measurement tape because I need it for
Your
everything.
coffee.
But then
Your coffee.
my phone. My phone is like I have all the files there. Like if I go to a job site, I need my phone to log into emails. Like I have everything on my phone. So like
Mhm.
I use that for every single project, every meeting.
Lately, the thing that I suggest in every project because I'm so in love with it is lime wash paint.
Really?
Yeah.
And are they
just-
taking
But you're
it?
talking about a feed.
Well, this
thing.
is
Thing. She said
light
something.
and spontaneous. That's the answer.
Like
So
you're talking about like a design fee, something
it
finished,
can
or
be both.
Furniture, accessories.
Well, but that's a good one.
I just
the
like the
phone has
thing-
to be there.
I just feel that I have
Oh.
to have my phone for everything.
But
Oh.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I have to have a
Phone
notebook.
and
I'm
coffee.
I write a
Coffee.
lot.
Phone and
Yeah.
coffee.
And a measurement tape. Like I have a measurement tape in my
Oh,
car,
yeah.
in my office, in my home,
Yeah.
in my car.
Tape,
And
blue
I
tape.
lose them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite vendor to work with and why? I think this was
Yeah.
answered before.
Oh, but I have
No,
another
I have a
one.
lot.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Say,
I
I want to
you
hear. I
can
want to
say.
hear.
You
I
can
have
say.
my window treatment person, Kata.
Oh,
we all agree.
I
Kat,
love
that's
her.
it.
We
Yeah.
love you. You're the
We all
best.
She's
agree.
always so professional.
Yeah.
Everything
Oh,
on
teamwork.
time.
And she's one of those that when there's a problem,
Oh,
she
yeah.
calms you down. She
Oh, yeah,
calms
yeah,
you
yeah.
down. I had a problem and she said, "Don't worry, we'll fix it."
Oh, she's
And
amazing.
we want the client to be perfectly happy. And
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah, she's
No,
always
You
great.
signed for it and you paid for it, and that's not
No,
the
we love
attitude.
her.
Yeah,
I love you.
she's amazing. Yeah.
Kata. Anyone?
Well, the GC I told you about, NAFA Construction.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've never worked with them. They look good. Yeah.
What's the worst mistake you've ever made?
The worst mistake I ever
We were talking about this before you guys arrived, and I was telling Cindy, I don't know, I don't remember a specific, and I don't think I've done everything perfect. So maybe I'm blocking my memory is just
Yeah.
blocking
Blocking
that
it
negative
out.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she said, no, why don't we kind of focus on
A
a
bad
potential
mistake?
mistake that we probably, it happens to all of us, is that we assume that
They're gonna do it right.
Never
they're
assume.
that
Never
they're gonna
assume.
read the plans, that they're gonna read the elevations, they're gonna take into consideration all the measurements. The sconce is gonna be, so
Yeah.
many inches from the wall, and assuming is always
Yeah, never.
That's
very
a
risky.
mistake.
Never
Yeah.
assume.
If you could design one dream project, no budget constraints, what would it be? Let's start with you.
Oh my gosh. Probably a beach villa in the coast of Mexico.
Nice.
Me, a beach home for me, for my family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's my
Nice.
dream.
You?
I think my dream project would be, the client telling me, do whatever you want, call me in 8 months when it's done. I don't care if it's, a penthouse, a 3-story penthouse, or a
That would be
beeline car.
amazing. Like, do whatever you
Here's
want.
the check. Call
With
me
$10
when it's
million.
done.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you like. I
Yeah.
trust you. I like your style. Just call me. I'll come with my toothbrush.
I don't have an answer, so on the next podcast with mine, I will answer. How do you unwind after a stressful day of design work?
Oh, a glass of wine.
Wine?
Yeah.
A hot night shower and eat ice cream.
Mm.
I
That's
like
good
to swim. I needed
Well,
something.
of
fun.
course, I mean, I do Pilates every
Sports.
morning, but
Yeah.
after work,
After.
I wouldn't have the energy to do Pilates after work. But I just go home, be with my kids, like be with the family, be on the sofa watching
Wind
a
down.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for me. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm in peace with my kids, my family.
I
Yeah.
watch TV with my husband.
Yeah,
That's like the moment.
yeah, me
Like,
too.
we share
yeah.
some stuff, but also I just
Yeah,
disconnect.
yeah.
What is the last thing you designed for yourself?
Last thing I designed for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, I didn't design it. I guess it's for myself.
Yeah, for your
but it's my
nephew,
nephew's
yeah.
baby.
Yes,
room.
Nursery.
you showed
Yeah,
us
the
with lime
nursery.
wash, by
With
the way.
lime wash. Yes.
Mayra?
I don't remember.
Yes, you did. You okay. 3
my
offices
office.
from the moment I met you. We've
Oh
been
my
to
God,
3
Mayra.
offices. Okay. Then she redid her family room for a night that you invited us.
She
to
knows the
dinner.
answers.
Exactly. I'll answer for
Oh
for
my
Mayra.
God.
That's true. The office. Yeah.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Maga?
exactly.
My master bathroom.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
true. And well, that's it, guys. I think we had a lot of fun today.
Aw,
We
thank you
passed
for
the time
It passed so fast.
super fast.
We
I
need more
told
therapy
you.
sessions.
We do. So overall, I think we gave a lot of input and we shared a lot of experiences that we hope that are helpful for other designers as well. If you want to close with any messages, feel free to.
Just thank you, Cindy. It was such a good time.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having us.
That was
Thank you
the
for
whole
having
idea.
it. You can follow me, Mac Interiors.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to the Creative Talks podcast. Your 5-star reviews really help us continue what we do. Please rate your listening experience, and let's keep building this beautiful community together. For exclusive access to more design content, visit thearchitecturalauthority.com or download our app from the App Store or Google Play. Until next time, take care and keep creating.